Hey everyone, this is Dan with Theta Trend. Today is Monday, April 4th, 2016. It's about 2:30 p.m. or so Mountain Time here. The market's closed a half hour ago. We're taking a look at a daily chart of the S&P 500, the SPX index. The market closed today at 2066.13. It was off about 6 points or so, down 0.32%. So just a little bit of a pullback in here today. And so before we get too excited about this pullback, it was nice to have this for the position to give it a little bit of time to work. The sum of these advances continues to be greater than the sum of the declines. In other words, that pattern of higher highs and higher lows on the shorter term time frames remains intact today, even though we did have a little bit of a pullback. So it's a little premature to get excited about the downside just yet, but it is somewhat encouraging to see a little bit of a pause after pushing to higher levels in here on Friday, if you're a little bit short. So let's drop down to the 65-minute time frame. So on the 65-minute time frame, you can see the market here just sort of steadily sold off today, and it just kind of came down to hang out here right around just in front of the 2060 level or so. We didn't even get all the way back down to this 2056 area. I thought we might come down into here today, which would have been this prior high back here on March 22nd, and it was also that level that we traded down through on, I believe, Thursday or Friday of last weekend, and the market from there really raced higher. So I would say going into tomorrow, this is an area that we kind of want to keep an eye on around this 2055 level. If the market can get down below here and hold below this level, it may have the potential to push a little bit lower, certainly at least down to just this area in the neighborhood of 2040. That would be the next area that I'd be keeping an eye on. And breaking and holding below that would be even more encouraging on the short side. But for the time being, tomorrow it'll be interesting to see if the market continues to hold up and above this 2055-ish level or so. If it comes down to test it, that's certainly possible. Or if it just turns around and heads higher on us, which is also another scenario that's entirely possible. The market kind of closed here right around the rising 5-day simple moving average, and it's still above the 10. So for the time being, the pattern of higher highs and higher lows on the shorter term time frame remains intact, and we do have to be conscious of that. We are sitting in the April 5 CIB. The trade's getting relatively close to expiration. The upper expiration break-even point is right around here, around the neighborhood of 2080 or so, and that of course corresponds to this prior high back in December. So if the market trades up and kind of sits through this level or makes it up and above there, we're going to need to adjust the position one more time on the upside. The blue bars indicate the progression of the trade as it's gone on. So you can see here we've just kind of moved the position higher as the market's moved higher. On the downside, we're okay down into the neighborhood of 2,000 or so. And that's the lower expiration break-even point. So if the market was to trade all the way down there, that the trade would still be okay, and we wouldn't need to worry about it too much. So for the time being, we're just kind of looking at this and saying if the market was to continue higher, certainly it has the potential to test this level here back from December. And if it was to get up and above that, we'd start to look at a push towards 2095 or even up to 2100, just because it's an even number and it's not too far away from the level that we're sitting at right now. I'm not predicting that will happen, but it is something to be aware of when we get close to more significant and even number levels, and that the market does have the potential to go there. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Let's hop over and look at the trade. So this is the position at the close today, and we pulled back just a little bit. 6 points higher, was in the neighborhood of 2072 and change. I'm not sure exact number, but that was where we closed here on Friday. And today we pulled back just a little bit into the body of butterfly. So with the market here at 2066.13, the delta on the trade's negative 7.69, the gamma is negative 0.17, the theta is about $30 a day, the vega is negative 98 or so, and there's an open profit on the trade of right in the neighborhood of $73 or so. So we swung back pretty considerably from a small loss on Friday to showing an open profit again. And for the time being, there's really nothing that I want to do to this position other than just to let it sit and work. If we were to have a big 1% gap higher in the morning, we'd be looking at price up here around 2087. And at that level, we'd have an open loss on the trade, maybe about $110 or so. That would also put the market up and above that December high in the neighborhood of 2080-ish. So that 2080 level is really kind of right in here. So if we were to move this down to here, we'd be looking at an open loss of about $45. And this is changing so quickly just because we're getting relatively close to expiration. And since we are getting close to expiration, the butterfly is starting to decay considerably more quickly. On a 3% gap lower, it would take us right down to about 2005 or so. We'd have a small open loss on the trade of about negative $88 or so. For the time being, the market doesn't seem like it really wants to give up very much, but at the same time, it's sort of holding these levels, and it always has the potential to stall and sort of pull back a little bit. So, we'll just have to wait and see if that does happen. But for the time being, the trade is okay. Everything is healthy. We're going to be keeping an eye on it here on the upside, and on the downside, we have a little ways to travel. The position is getting pretty close to expiration. Let's see. Yeah, so we're at about 25 days to go right now. So we're going to need to keep an eye on this a little bit more closely. You can see the gamma starting to pick up and things like that. But at the same time, the T+0 line is going to rise relatively quickly. What I'm going to do here is I'll just step out to Thursday. And so at Thursday, we start to get into a position where we could potentially take this trade off for a small profit, and that'd be good and go about our way. We'll just have to wait and see how the rest of the week plays out. Certainly, I don't know what's going to happen. But the other trade I wanted to take a look at, we'll look at the June 1 broken wing butterfly, and we've been talking about that position. So we'll hop over here and take a look at that. So this is the June 1 broken wing butterfly, and again, there's really not much to say about this guy. We got into this trade when the market was down in the neighborhood of 2040 or so. Since then, it's moved up to about 2066, a little bit higher even on Friday. And this position as it sits right now is the 1940, 1995, 2040 put butterfly, and we got into this trade for a $2.35 debit, so 2.35. And the Greeks on the trade, the delta is negative 1.41. There's negative 0.01 gamma, so essentially no gamma. Theta is about 370 a day. Vega is negative 22.44. And there's an open profit of about $9 or so, just under $9. So for the time being, this trade is fine. If the market does seem like it's going to continue to move higher and push up into higher levels, what we're going to be doing is taking this trade off and moving it higher. For the time being, I'm just kind of sitting in the position and waiting to see what happens. We are kind of coming up to these levels, this 2080 and all the way up to even the 2100 or so. This is kind of like a critical level, and the market does have the potential here to turn around and head lower. And so if it does turn around and head lower, there's really nothing to do to this trade for the time being, except maybe to add to the position. But we'll wait and see how tomorrow plays out before we make any adjustments to this trade, and just let it go for the time being. So at any rate, that's all I have for tonight. I hope it helps. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, info@thetatrend.com, and thanks for watching.